Kenyatta Lee Frazier Jr., professionally known as Ken Carson, is an American rapper and record producer. Ken Carson is most known for his close affiliation to fellow Atlanta, Georgia rapper Playboi Carti, being signed to his record label Opium under Interscope Records. Besides Carti, Ken Carson is arguably the most popular and well-known member of Opium, with multiple chart-topping albums and singles to prove this. However, who really is Ken Carson? Ken Carson is a very polarizing and interesting young rapper who's gone through ups and downs, high success, low lows, hate, love, controversy, and everything in between. In this video, with the help of many outside sources, I worked to compile the entire Ken Carson Iceberg. If you don't already know what an iceberg video is, research is gathered pertaining to a certain subject, topic, figure, etc., and then compiled into a video. The research in the video is organized into tiers or levels, each representing the amount of popularity or how well known the entry is. And last thing, I'd like to thank the YouTube channel Juneplug, but mainly the Reddit user RQVA for inspiring this video. I'll be citing his video as well as the Ken Carson Reddit and specifically the comments of that Reddit user's post a lot, so yeah. Without further ado, I'm Token Black Kid, and this is the complete Ken Carson Iceberg. Enjoy. Level 1, The Sky. The albums. Officially, Ken Carson has released 3 EPs, 1 project or mixtape, and 2 full albums. The EPs are Boy Barbie, Teen X, and Teen X Relapsed. The mixtape is Project X, and the 2 albums are X and A Great Chaos. Yale. Yale refers to the second track on the 2020 EP Teen X. Produced by Dutch producer duo Starboy and Outta Town, frequent collaborators of Ken, this song would serve as a starting point for Ken's popularity in the underground scene. Towards late 2020 and very early 2021, the song would go viral on TikTok and lead to a growing fan base for Ken. And on October 5th, 2023, 3 years after the release, the song was officially certified gold by RIAA. Freestyle 2. Freestyle 2 refers to the 14th track off the 2022 album X. Freestyle 2 is also the second installment of a trilogy of freestyles across the X and Extended albums. Freestyle 2 was produced by American producers Wake Up Filthy and Gabe, and similar to Yale, the virality on TikTok led to the song being one of Ken's biggest, particularly with a dance trend that would be performed across the first few bars. Even many celebrities ended up jumping on the trend. Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney was a popular unreleased Ken Carson song recorded on August 13th of 2023. Throughout January of 2024, the song was previewed on a few Instagram Lives and quickly gained a lot of popularity with the fan base. On January 20th, 2024, the song was successfully leaked and would later release officially on the A Great Chaos Deluxe More Chaos. Jennifer's Body. Jennifer's Body is the second track to Ken Carson's third studio album, A Great Chaos. The first 40 seconds of the song were teased on May 31st, 2023 during an Instagram live stream, and since that date, before its release, the song was one of the most anticipated Ken Carson songs among the fan base. A few months after the official release of the song, again it would get a trending sound on TikTok. This trend of video ended up lasting the longest out of the 3 so far, with again many celebrities, corporations, etc. hopping on the trend. Deluxes. Ken Carson has officially released 2 extended plays, Extended in 2022 and A Great Chaos Deluxe or More Chaos in 2024. We'll now be moving on to the tip of the iceberg. The End. The End, also commonly referred to as Green Day, served as the lead single to Ken Carson's debut album X. The themes of the track include Ken Carson discussing a one-sided relationship in which his love was not reciprocated by his partner. The song was first previewed on Instagram Live by Ken Carson on November 9, 2021, and after a few delays, it would finally release on July 5, 2022, 8 months later. Lost Files. Lost Files refer to a series of unofficial releases by Ken Carson on SoundCloud. Typically, these are comprised of throwaways or leaks that didn't make it onto the upcoming or already released project. There's currently 6 editions with Lost Files 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, and 5. Some of the most popular leaks across the tapes include Glock 19, Teen Bean, Murder Music, Eggs for Breakfast, and Aquafina. Drop your favorite lost files in the comments. Mine personally is definitely 3.5. Interviews. Since his rise in popularity, Ken Carson has participated in many interviews. These interviews are commonly where his most viral and memorable moments stem from. Some of Ken Carson's most memorable interviews include his interviews with Our Generation Music, Kids Take Over, Montreality, and Nardwuar. Goomba. Goomba is a pretty popular ongoing inside joke among the Ken Carson and Playboi Carti fan communities. It's pretty difficult to trace exactly where the origins are or where it started, but it's believed around 2020 to very early 2021, a fan said that Ken Carson looks like a Goomba because of a bad angle caught in an interview. Ever since then, specifically in 2021 through 2022, various images of Ken Carson looking bad in bad angles in interviews, etc. were all caught, posted, and yeah. Football jerseys. During his October 2021 interview with Montreality, when asked about the worst fashion trend that never needs to come back, Ken Carson responded with football jerseys and began hysterically laughing. For the uninitiated, which I assume is most people, because, yeah, a football jersey is simply a lost relic of the early 2000s, which pretty much no one wears, wasn't really popular back then, but yeah, somehow Ken remembered it. This would get memed to death on TikTok and become another long-lasting trend involving Ken Carson. Starboy and Out of Town. Starboy and Out of Town are a Dutch producer duo who have close links to Ken Carson and the Opium Collective in general. Fighting My Demons, Yale, Me and My Cup, among many others can be credited to one or two, if not both, of the duo. Despite their very close affiliation to Opium and Ken Carson as a whole, the duo actually has a lot more success outside of Opium. Notably, one or both have produced for artists like Trippie Redd, Baby Keem, Young Thug, Lil Uzi Vert, and many more. Yeet/Sofago. So these are two separate entries, but I figured I'd just combine them because they're pretty much the same in terms of what they mean to the list. Yeet and Sofago are both pretty popular American artists who, if you're watching this video, you probably know of. Yeet is obviously monumentally more popular than Sofago, but you get the point. Anyway, similar to Ken Carson, these two artists, despite releasing music in 2018 and 19, pretty much all came up in that 2020 through 2021 era of underground music where there was really a huge burst, with Yeet rising the quickest, Ken Carson following, and then Sofago unfortunately kinda stalling out, and yeah. Regardless, the point is both Yeet and Sofago have collaborations with Ken Carson, both released and unreleased. In my opinion, Pull Up by Ken featuring Yeet and Hell Yeah by Sofago featuring Ken are two of the duo's respective best works. Project X inspiration. So to many, this entry may seem kinda useless and obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people did not know of this, so I'll include it anyway. Ken Carson's Project X is a very obvious tribute and homage to the 2012 film of the same name. Both the official and unofficial album covers, as well as the overall themes of the music on the album, is all a reference and pays homage to the cult classic film of the same name. Liar. So if you're already familiar with Opium as a collective, you already know this entry is pretty much like saying grass is green. However, to those who don't know, Ken Carson is very familiar with lying to his audience, pushing back release dates, taking back promises, etc. A few examples of this include Ken Carson saying he would quit music in early 2021 because his Instagram got hacked, the release dates for Project X, X, and A Great Chaos all being lied about, the release dates for both his deluxe albums being lied about, multiple lead singles, etc. You get the point. Beano. Beano refers to track 4 on Playboi Carti's Whole Lotta Red, which was produced by Out of Town, Lil 88, and Ken Carson. Because Whole Lotta Red came out on Christmas of 2020, many Playboi Carti fans were not yet acquainted with Ken Carson, and this was their introduction to him. The very familiar synths, horns, and overall hyperpop feel of Ken's early music is very much present on this track. Drake cosign. After a few weeks of Jennifer's Body going viral on TikTok, Ken Carson caught the acknowledgement and cosign of arguably the biggest rapper in the entire world, Drake. Drake posted Jennifer's body on his story, followed Ken, and even had Jennifer's body playing on his OVO radio station. Unlike Yeet, they didn't link up or anything, not much came of this, and they would later unfollow each other. Moving on to the Shallow Waters. Red Hot Chili Peppers. For those who somehow don't know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers are a pretty huge, monumental LA rock band formed in 1982 who's had popularity since the late 80s, early 90s ever since. I'm still shocked that this is actually a real part of the Ken Carson lore, but somehow, earlier this year, Ken Carson ended up opening for them on a few select dates. Because the audience is, no exaggeration, no meme, 40 and 50-year-old parents, like dads who like dad rock, the crowds were completely dead for Ken, of course. Unfortunately, this led to a bit of negative publicity, but most people just found it funny, so it wasn't that serious. 808 Mafia, Lil 88, Southside. So these really could be all three separate entries, but they're about the same level of knowledge as a Ken Carson fan, and they're all pretty related, so I just put them all together. For the uninitiated, since the early 2010s all the way to the present day, Southside is one of the most popular mainstream trap producers. From work with artists like Gucci Mane, Kanye West, Drake, and Future, along with multiple gold and platinum records, he's easily cemented himself as one of the greats of his era and genre. Lil 88 is Southside's nephew and how Ken Carson comes into the equation. During their childhood, Lil 88 and Ken Carson would befriend each other. After the two both realized they had a common interest in rapping, producing, etc., Lil 88 would then introduce Ken Carson to his uncle, Southside. What a coincidence. Years before his Opium affiliation, Ken Carson would initially sign on with 808 Mafia, which is Southside's producer team and group. This was all the way back in 2015, and as is common knowledge, Ken Carson would not stay with 808 Mafia for long. However, he remains in contact with Lil 88 and Southside, and both have many producer credits across Ken Carson songs to this day. Southside played an extremely crucial role in Ken Carson's beginnings as a rapper and introduced him to many industry connections that we'll talk about later. Fold. Fold is a 2018 single by Ken Carson that serves as his first official release on streaming services. The song in itself isn't very remarkable, however, it gained a bit of popularity in the fan base with nostalgia and artists' earliest songs being very popular. You get the point. Basically, a lot of fans kept bringing it up saying, oh yeah, y'all don't know about this, new fans don't know about this, etc., etc. Interestingly enough, you can probably argue this song serves as the bridge from the 808 Mafia era of Ken to the new Opium era. Of course, he wasn't signed yet, but this is the start of the Boy Barbie era pretty much, so yeah. Lil Tecca. Lil Tecca is a 22-year-old producer and rapper out of Queens, New York, most known for his meteoric rise to fame at a very young age. During the 2020 through 2021 era, Ken and Tecca could be spotted on multiple occasions and of course have multiple songs together, most not on streaming services, but yeah. X Hate. So this entry is pretty self-explanatory. The album X, released in 2022, received a bit of hate, but I want to go a bit more in detail as I was pretty much there for the entire unraveling of this. So as I mentioned before, X had many delays, many pushbacks, lead singles. When it officially came out, it was confirmed that the album was executively produced by Playboi Carti. And after Project X and the latest X-Files, Ken fans had heard a lot of experimental songs by Ken, you could say. Mainly Run Plus Ran, but also the final 3 songs on Project X. Although they did have that strong hyperpop influence, they were a bit different to the typical rage, turn up, you get it. So with X, Ken fans basically expected this to be Ken's Die Lit. They expected experimental, but like ahead of its time, yada yada yada. Upon the album's release, it's not a stretch to say fans were pretty disappointed. They found the track list kind of bloated, a lot of nothing songs in there, a lot of similar production, not a lot of experimentation, cringy lyrics. Critics weren't big on it. Fans, of course, they're kind of always, like whatever Opium puts out, no matter if it's good or bad. But it was getting a lot of critique for the reasons I listed. However, I can comfortably say in 2024, as a person who's been liking the album pretty much since 2022, it has aged decently well when you just go through and pick your favorite songs and then listen to them occasionally. How Ken got his name. Like many entries on this list, this may seem pretty self-explanatory if you yourself are a Ken fan, but hey, again, we never know who's watching, so I'll explain it. Before 2020, before Ken would adapt various nicknames based on album era, such as X-Men, Teen X, etc., he went by Boy Barbie. Ken, from the franchise Barbie, his name is Ken Carson. So yeah, not much more to it. Upside Down Cross controversy. So this entry is pretty well known by the fan base and honestly hotly debated to this day. Pretty much all of Opium, including even affiliates who aren't rappers, excluding Bino, I believe, who does not wear it, wear upside down crosses as a sort of trademark. As is pretty common knowledge, having any religious symbol upside down or distorted or seen as being altered may be taken as disrespectful by some. Many Opium fans tend to argue that the cross is simply the cross of St. Peter, but if we're being honest, this is just a serious cope for, I'm not even sure why it's still an argument. It's clearly not that cross. Whether that be inspiration from punk bands, as we know Ken, Destroy Lonely, and even Cardi have all taken, rebellion, anti-government, anti-establishment, all that. Or if it's a genuine satanic symbol that goes against God, honestly, we'll never know. Ken mentions the upside down cross pretty often in his songs. You can see it in imagery at his shows or whatever. And his lyric on X Games concerning it is the most interesting I found. So yeah, do with that what you will. This is the longest video I've ever recorded, and as you can tell, it's really getting long. So I'm unfortunately going to have to split this video into 2 parts. I apologize to everybody who prefers longer icebergs. Any feedback or comments are greatly appreciated. I'm trying to grow and build with every upload. And yeah, that'll be all. So I'm Token Black Kid. I'll see you guys in the next upload.